Okay, looks like I'm live. Yep, sure does. Okay, I do have actually a guest that I'm going to be bringing on here just shortly. So give me a sec here, folks. Just checking to make sure everything's okay. Do, do, do. Let me just check here one sec. Do, 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 do. All right. Okay, just checking. I noticed with my new setup here, probably should have hit the record because apparently this will record. So in case I have a choppy live stream, when people go to watch it after the live stream's over, it'll actually be done in full 1080 quality. Because actually, I've upgraded my plan to the bigger plan there now, and actually, I'm going to be able to host webinars. I'm going to be able to host webinars. And I'm thinking I might actually consider doing that and host what I want to call liberty lessons for people who want to learn about liberty and do it as almost in like a obviously like almost like a classroom type setting, except everybody's in their own homes rather than in some government central school, right? But I'm thinking about doing something like that, whereas that's an option offered to me now with this new plan. But anyways, really great to see that some folks have joined the stream already. Let me just get to there's a couple comments here. Let me just get to them real quick. Be vegan now. Cool picture. Ban pro gun controllers from government jobs. Pro gun controllers. Yeah, right. I mean, this kind of the gun set. That's a pretty good wish, by the way. Right. That'd be a great wish. Close this up here. And this whole gun. I mean, the one thing I will say about the Trudeau Liberals is, I mean, they're all a bunch of liars and control freaks. Many sociopaths, obviously, narcissistic, all of the terms that we hear a lot of people banter around. But one thing they have in spades is incompetence, right? And lack of self-awareness, right? Right? They don't have the ability to externalize things and look at things as a casual observer looking inwards, right? They lack the capacity entirely, so they don't realize just how tyrannical they come across. Because when they're sitting around in their little echo chambers, right, with their fellow like-minded tyrants and authoritarians and control freaks, everything seems normal. Of course, yes, right. One man's normal, though, right? As we're seeing, even fence sitters, and I've seen them with my own eyes, mostly on social media platforms, but I've seen it for myself. That even people who would typically be staunch supporters of the liberals or advocates of them are even saying, like, what's up with this? What's up with this? Why are you so hell bent on taking away all these people's guns? These are just hunting rifles. What was the problem? And the nonsense. What was that guy? One of his ministers that said, "Oh, just get a 22 to go kill a bear or a moose or something." I think it was a moose. I mean, once again, out of touch much, right? I mean, anyone that's even been within arm's length of a gun, right? Or knows anyone that actually has one would know, like, a 22 to take down a moose, right? Okay, now maybe if he just freshly fell out of his mother's belly, right? Maybe even then, who knows, right? It's a 22 for crying out loud. But yeah, I mean, one thing I like to say about the incompetence and the authoritarian tendencies of the liberals is it has done much better job. Be honest with you, I just got to say right now, thank you, Trudeau, and your counterparts in the Liberal Party. I've been at this for what 10, 11 years, maybe even more than that now. It's been a long time, folks, trying to educate, inform, enlighten my fellow Canadians about the importance of liberty and what it even means. What it even means to be a free human being. And that they really should care about their freedoms. And I got to tell you, It's been a slow, gradual process, and of course, it's always hard to know exactly how effective your message has been because there's just so many which ways and areas that it can permeate through our culture, right? And I do recognize, I'll give myself a little pat on the back. I've definitely helped in some regard. How big or how small, I don't know. But I got to tell you, the Trudeau Liberals, with their authoritarian tendencies, are turning more and more Canadians towards at least learning what liberty's all about. That one thing, not like Trudeau's doing it for our benefit, right? No, he's just a lying, sociopathic tyrant. But at the very least, there is some kind of benefit to that, right? You always gotta, hey, I'm the kind of person try to find that glass that's half full, right? Be a little bit optimistic. I mean, you pretty much have to. But anyways, thank you very much for mentioning that. Be vegan. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah, because the whole gun thing, I'm with you there. I'm with you there. Okay, what do we got here now? We got let's see. Yeah, we got Christian Delorme. Thank you very much for the donation there, Christian. I really, really appreciate. By the way, I like your name. I love the name Christian. It's a great name. I really do. Maybe if either my sons are listening, maybe I'll have a grandson. So just kidding. Anyways, but yeah, that's a great name. Joya Noel, my friend. I got what I want. Health. My boy back from base and my family at Christmas. Well, that is just awesome, right? That's a beautiful, beautiful thing to have these kind of positive things happen for you. And that's the one thing I've noticed for myself. I've been busy, hard at it, trying to do everything that I promote and tout for other people to do. And of course, I've always been like that myself, anyways, but I've been really busy and hard at it and trying to improve my life, my standing, my personality, who I am as a person, and as many and affect as many people in my circles like I can possibly in a positive manner. And I got to tell you, boy, I've been getting the dividends. It's just like the stock market was on fire, but it's not the stock market. It's just I'm getting a tremendous amount of dividends and payback for all that I've done. And I see that that's probably happening for you as well, Christian Laura, and good for you. And that's the way it should be, right? Good things, good habits, good behaviors, right? Ethical, upstanding, moral, the things that we do that are positive and bring goodness to the world, they should be positive rewarded, right? On the other hand, of course, it's always another thing on the flip side of that is it's actual a benefit to us that when we're doing things that are wrong or incorrect or immoral or unethical, that we have the exact opposite thing help to teach us to we have to learn. That's the thing. We human beings, we learn. Now, some of us learn faster and slower than others. But yes, these are great learning experiences. Even right now, whether you're on the right or the left or anywhere in between, it does not matter your political stripe. What matters is, are you at least willing to improve upon yourself? And hopefully, by improving upon yourself, improve the kind of people that will surround themselves with you. It's a beautiful thing. If you work on yourself, it's amazing what a benefit that can be, not just in your local surroundings, but how that permeates out through the rest of the culture. So good for you, good for me, good for everybody out there who's trying their best to do the darn right thing. And even in the face, even with the onslaught of the naysayers, like I say, the petty tyrants, the control freaks who obviously, I mean, come on, these people are obviously miserable as hell in their own lives, right? Come on, they have to be. I mean, who wants to, just constantly inundate yourself and surround yourself with such misery, with people with such authoritarian tendencies? Oh, forget toxic masculinity, toxic statism. That's a major problem for us. And that's something that we definitely want to beat back and try to eliminate from our lives as much as possible. But thank you very much, Christian Delore. And I'm happy for you, my friend. Hey, Chris. It's good to see Chris. Hey, Chris, my friend. Good guy. Chris is a great guy. I've known him for quite a while. We met, well, on Facebook, predominantly, of course, online friends, but we met quite some time ago. And I got to tell you, what a great guy. And he stays right at it, constantly on nonstop. He's like the Easter Bunny in terms of online participation and active. Good for you, Chris. Good for you. And Merry Christmas to you and to your family as well. And thanks for joining the stream, my friend. Scrapping the carbon tax would be nice. Hello. Right. I'm right there. Yeah. It's bad enough to get that piece of coal in the stocking, right? But then to be charged for it too? Come on. come on, that's just outrageous. It's ridiculous, right? No, I agree 100%, Chris. The carbon tax. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just another way for government to forcefully redistribute from predominantly, as you know, the poor, the working class, right? The people at the lower end of the socioeconomic ladder, and redistribute that to the Trudeaus and the ilks, the upper echelons, the elites among us. Apparently they're just, you know, not rich enough, right? I don't know. But I will tell them this, all the money in the world, and I know billionaires, right? Not personally per se, but I know, and I've heard a lot of them mention that, yeah, all the money in the world, it's not going to bring you happiness. Now, money will bring you some happiness, and there's definitely some positivity to having some coin. Don't get me wrong, but money alone by itself, no matter how much of it you got, will not bring you the kind of happiness or fulfillment, at least, right? Yes, maybe temporarily, like those kind of euphoric, happy moments of getting your first Bugatti, right? Maybe that would be a pretty happy moment, I would imagine, right? But then if you want to go for a cruise, right? Enjoy that mountain drive or that sunset. Well, it'd probably be nice to have someone that cares about you, that loves you, right? That car is not going to give you a whole lot of love and back. Right? Matter of fact, might give you a whole lot of headaches too. But the point is, and I'm sure you folks realize where I'm going with this, is there's so many other aspects of our lives, of our humanity. Money can't be the only driving force. And of course, I'm a capitalist. I'm all for coin. I'm all for money. Of course, I'm also for the free market capitalism. So if you make your coin, yeah, you should be doing it by voluntary means, by offering a product or service where people voluntarily choose to buy it. Not because you're using government to force people to use your service, because, yeah, that's not cool. But anyways, thank you very much, Chris. Like I say, really appreciate that. And I'm with you, my friend. Scrap that carbon tax. Get rid of that. Go on. Oh, thank you very much, Christian. I just noticed you became a member. Sorry, I haven't checked it as of yet. I'll check it maybe later in the stream, because there's 3 levels. There's Liberty Hunter, Liberty Leader, Liberty Explorer. I'm not sure which membership level you chose to take, but really appreciate that. And once again, I appreciate any amount of support and for you joining the live stream. That being able to actively engage with you folks on streams such as this really, really makes all the difference. So thank you very much, Christian. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Ooh, another one. Thank you. Thank you once again, Christian. Holy jumping. You're a very generous individual. Appreciate it. I got another Joy Noel. Maybe health in my family at Christmas. I got what I want. My book. So it looks like it might have been just a repost here of the original one there. It seems like, yeah, it looks like it just reposted it. But thank you once again, Fraser. Hello, Fraser McBurney. Always nice to see you in the chat, Fraser. Really appreciate your donation as well. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from a fan from Hamilton, Ontario. The weather today is snow with wind, plowing, and a high of minus 10 degrees with winds of 20 miles per hour. I'm dreaming of a tropical Christmas right now. I hear you, Fraser, and I get it. And even my wife, she had to work today. She's got the rest tomorrow and the rest of the week off for next week and all that stuff. But yeah, of course, if you have to travel out there, if you work outside, if you're doing anything, in these winter storms, I get it. And I feel bad for you folks. And I'm with you there. But I got to tell you, I love a white Christmas. I just love the snow on the ground. I mean, even if you have all your lights up and the trees and all, it's just not the same without the snow. Now, that's, of course, me as a Canadian. I'm just used to it. That's as normal as apple pie in America, right? Is snow at Christmas time. But I got to tell you, I really like it. Now, once we're all done through the holidays, don't bother me at all. See you later, right? No problem. But I really personally enjoy the snow days. And I really appreciate the Merry Christmas and the Happy New Year. And, of course, your kind donation again. And I wish you and yours the very best and a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year as well. I will just say, in terms of the weather, just the other day, right? The establishment media, the NPCs, that they all just seem to parrot the same thing. And once again, it has nothing to do with conspiracy. You have a whole lot of people who believe in the same thing. Of course, they're going to be very similar, right? It doesn't mean that everything's a conspiracy theory or concerted effort, but I mean, they were out there touting, of course, got to be the naysayers. Always got to be negative about everything, right? It's like, holy shit. Can you people ever try being a little bit positive, even just once in a while? For every 1,000 articles you run of anti-Trump, anti-freedom stuff or whatever. Not suggesting that Trump freedom are synonymous or whatever. I'm just saying, typically that's what they, or anything that's against the leftist woke ideology, right? But can you just maybe once in a while throw something positive in there? But I was laughing about the fact that they were touting just a few days ago. Canada. Yeah, if you're Canadian and you want to have a nice white Christmas, snowy Christmas, well, climate change has screwed all that up for you. So too bad, bah humbug, right? You're not going to get any snow. Suck it up, buttercup. I guess they were basically looking because, it's so funny. They were days out, probably close to a week out from actual Christmas, and they were going by the weather to suggest that, hey, you're not going to get any snow, folks. Sorry. Canada's going to be green from coast to coast. And then what happens? Hell, even Mother Nature likes to troll these dipshits, right? Come on. Mother Nature was like, I was going to be nice and have a kind of a tempered winter for people. It's like, but you're going to go like that? Oh, that's it. Throw a storm at them, right? No, but seriously, I mean, come on. Next thing you know, now the news headlines. Could you imagine if you're someone that only listens to the established media? You got to be kind of somewhat schizophrenic or bipolar at this point in time because everything's just like up and down and contradictions and hypocrisies. Left is right, right is left, in is out, right? It's unreal. But yeah, now if you're traveling, like I say, in the snow, I feel bad for you folks. Get yourself home and get yourself hunkered down if you're somewhere that's going through a really bad bout there today, and warm up. Whether you got a fire or a heat pump or some good wood furnace or oil or whatever you're using for your heat source. But yeah, cuddle up with family and friends and enjoy this time together, right? Anyway, thanks again, folks, for the great comments and the donations, of course. Really appreciate that. Who's this here? Lamb Knot. Somehow ban greed. Yeah, I hear you. It's well, that's a thing. Greed by itself. I hear what you're saying, and I totally get you there. And there is some justification for that, I suppose. Too much greed is definitely excess of anything. And I don't even know if I can make a good positive case for greed. I don't know. Matter of fact, yeah, not even going to bother with that, to be honest with you. Not even going to be bothered with that, right? Although I will say as a libertarian, just to be consistent, right, is if you earn and you made a tremendous amount of money as a consequence or a result of offering some product or service to people that, they choose to buy or consume voluntarily, if that makes you a tremendous amount of money. I mean, although that's the thing. I was going to bring Elon Musk up as an example, but it's not necessarily, doesn't necessarily mean, actually, Elon, I would suggest it seems to be the opposite of greedy, actually, because he could be living in, I mean, think about it. If you're the richest man in the world, you can literally have the best of the best of the best, right? The man chooses to basically live in a very tiny, tiny little place. So he's not even all about mass consumption. So wealthy, there's not a direct correlation with wealth and greed, I guess. So that's one thing a point of clarification is there is no direct line or cause and effect correlation between wealth and greed. Now, the people who are greedy, that's actually, I'm with you. Right with you there. The people who only concern themselves with greed and consumption, and especially if they're doing it with the mindset of at the expense of others, right? So I'm with you there. So thanks a lot. Yeah, that's a big ask. That's a big wish. But hey, go big or go home. That's the way I say it, right? Go big or go home, baby. Good for you. Hey, Gordon Ramsay. Hey, the chef's in the house. I bet there's going to be a great meal at your place this winter or this Christmas, right? I'm just kidding here. Not that Gordon would ever come see my stream. Anyways, my wish, a Santa Claus that sets up numerous nonprofit charities without government aid. Dang, that is a really, really good wish. That is a really good wish. And you know what? I'm not sure. I don't think Santa Claus is necessarily going to be the man to initiate such action, but I'll tell you, there are people out there that maybe do have some accumulated resources, are independently wealthy, and are actively, like I say, I do recognize there are things, there are green shoots right now. I mean, Jordan Peterson, apparently they're already laying the groundwork for, was it Peterson, not University, Peterson, the Peterson Institute. Now, I'm not sure if the Peterson Institute is going to be basically a think tank, although I think, as far as I understand so far, it's quite early. I haven't learned a lot or heard a whole lot about it. Might even be an actual alternative education type of institution, which would be, something to challenge, or at least to give an option, an alternative to, just sending your kids to these public schools that aren't doing a whole lot of education, but they are doing a whole lot of indoctrination, right? And trying to jam ideologies into people's head. That is something that I'm glad to see. And like I say, there are already, I'm starting to see some people who have made some money, some accumulated some wealth as a consequence of their rise in popularity on these social media platforms, who are putting those resources to good use. I wish I had them, because I would definitely be doing that myself. I have very, very tiny, limited amount of resources, but every little bit I get, I do try to do that. And I'm not sure if you were watching my stream the other day, but I only did it one time. I got to tell you, there was only just 4 of us there. But I did a little Liberty Lessons thing. It was just one time in our local rec center. I rented it and was going to put on these Liberty Lessons. Like I said, not very many people showed up. Of course, they wouldn't even allow me to advertise it on the rec center's Facebook page. So you got to get the word out there. But yes, every little thing that we can do is going to be a positive. And I hope you get your wish. I hope we all get that wish, actually, that somehow there will be some really good people out there with some resources at their disposal who will set up numerous nonprofit charities without government aid. Because that, at the end of the day, Gordon, and I've said this so many times in the past, is that's why my whole thing is we don't need violent revolutions, right? My whole thing is liberty requires evolution of the mind, not revolutions. Violent revolutions, even though there might be some positive aspects or benefit in some areas, there's a whole lot of negative consequences and ramifications that come with a violent revolution too. Whereas if we have the intellectual evolution, where people just no longer believe in being serfs, subject, or slaves to a ruling class, and actually believe in freedom and liberty, right? As long as they believe in it, then you can make that a reality. Sorry, where did that go? Sorry, I just had something happen on the side of the screen. But yeah, and that's really what it is at the end of the day, is you got to get people, right? So right now, I know Bitcoin's going through a thing right now, but the premise, the original concept of something like Bitcoin was we don't have to tear down the current economic structure, right? The central bank, the central planning economic structure it is now. We could just pivot away from it, right? Ignore it entirely. Ignore it out of existence, right? No violence, no conflict, right? No big giant court battle, none of this stuff. You just move alongside of it. Create your own economic environment and atmosphere, right? Where we can all function outside of the realm of the state. That's a beautiful thing. And in many areas that we can do that. I mean, think about it. Elon Musk has been at the forefront in terms of doing that. Used to need government to go to space. Not anymore. You used to need some kind of government to have access to satellites in space. I have internet access. People in my area lost internet because the Bell infrastructure went down because, I don't know, something happened. Never affected me at all. I'm not on that particular grid or structure. I function completely outside of that in terms of my internet connection at the very least, right? And then, of course, you got Elon Musk. If you're there's lots of people who have even said, I've known a few of them myself. I even almost got there a few times my own self, where like, I just want to go off in the woods somewhere off grid and not have anything to do with the system at all. Well, once again, Tesla, right? The battery banks, the solar roofs. I mean, basically Elon Musk and the electric car, basically you got geniuses like that. And then you got, payment systems that now are going awry. But I mean, Peter Thiel and Elon Musk started PayPal, right? And some of these social media behemoths that we still currently use were started by mostly libertarians in Silicon Valley. Now, a lot of them have been pushed out or moved on to different ventures, and these organizations have been taken over by the leftist brigade, right? The activist investors and the ones that function within these organizations. But we're seeing that these things are very much possible. And that's another thing when people say, well, what can one man do? Holy Jesus. Elon Musk at this current stage, anyways, is a great example. What can one man do? Well, here, let me just list and count the ways, right? I mean, the man bought Twitter. So what can one man do? Well, one man with a tremendous amount of resources can do a tremendous amount of stuff, right? So beautiful thing, beautiful thing. But anyways, thanks once again for all the great comments. Let me continue on here. But yeah, good one, Gordon Ramsay, good one. Christina Carr, thank you, Christine, for joining the stream. Justin in cuffs, dragged to jail in front of every trucker. Gonna get you right after my heart, aren't you, Christine? Yeah, right? Wow, that would be something. That would be a spectacle to behold, right? That really would. And I tell you, that's a wish. I'm pretty sure everyone within this chat is on board, probably, hoping for or wishing themselves. Good one, Christine. Good one. I really appreciate that one. In cuffs, dragged to jail in front of every trucker. Reminds me of that picture. Someone photoshopped. Well, a lot of people now, they have a little time in their hands and they go crazy with those Photoshop. But there is actually a picture. I think I've even shared it in the past with Justin Trudeau in the big orange jumpsuit, right? Looks good on him. Orange looks real good on him. Right? But anyways, thanks for that great wish. That's an excellent wish, Christine. GTO Mama. What's going on, GTO Mama? What? Just gotta love that name, GTO. One of my favorite cars of all time, GTO. GTO. Revival, not revolution. Exactly. I'm right there with you. Exactly. Yes. The revolution's bad idea. Yeah. Because as we know, right? Yeah, you knock down one power structure, and there's usually that vacuum, right? That void, that space, and think about the kind of people that typically try to fill that void, that vacuum in power, right? Well, typically people that are seeking power. So does it always work good for you? Well, maybe if it's someone that, maybe you're friendly with and they're going to take over power, but even friendly people can have disagreements at time and even turn against each other. So the best idea, as GTO Mama's suggesting, is forget the revolutions, forget, even like these single one-offs, the Trumps of the world or the Pierre Poilievres, or stop looking for politicians, right? To save your ass or to save the world or to turn things around. We've been waiting a long time. Don't expect it's going to happen anytime soon either. But I got to tell you, not to suggest that you should, like, anytime there's any way you could try to push people in the direction, or let's use their words, let's nudge them in the direction, right, of freedom and liberty, for sure. Take advantage of any opportunity you have. Why not? If you got the time, you want to spend the effort, go right to it, or the resources, for sure. But yeah, no, we really need to start building the society we want alongside of the current society that exists, so that we don't have to tear down, right? That's these leftists, and as much as they claim to be against authoritarians themselves, they seem very much authoritarian. They just want to replace this particular kind of authoritarianism with their particular brand of authoritarianism. And I'm like GTO Mama and the rest. I'm sure you folks here is like, yeah, we don't want none of that authoritarianism. We're all adults. Let's treat each other as such, right? Revolution of the spirit, baby. Yeah, excuse the expression. Yeah, right on. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Well, I mean, if you think about it, and that's, I always have to usually add caveats to it, because that's the thing with these little one-liners. They're not, I like to properly articulate my thoughts to people. So yeah, freedom, this is a true statement. Freedom is a state of mind. But I usually try to now, I've kind of tweaked that a little bit. So now I say freedom starts, right, as a state of mind. Because you can have a mind that's free, but your body can still very much be enslaved by external factors or forces, right? So, but liberty truly does start as a state of mind. And the more and more people, this is what I've been saying for so long, and I just hope that more and more people will come to realize what I've been trying to say. Not just me, but we just need more and more people. We don't need everybody. We just need more and more. Like when does that shift? I don't know. When does the numbers, like at what point does the let's say the minority of people who care about freedom affect the mindset of the majority in a positive manner? Like there's no way to know, but in reality, like I say, the more and more people that we can get on board with adopting the philosophy of liberty. First of all, think about how great that is, the philosophy of liberty, and treating people like with the principles of liberty and Christianity at the forefront, right? Think about how beneficial that is in your own personal life and the kind of people that you surround yourself with. We know that, right? Well, extrapolate that and expand that out to society. That's what we want society to be. Whether it's our local communities, our provinces, or the country or the world, as far as that goes, right? Because in the information age, this kind of stuff it travels at the speed of light all around the world, instantaneous. So there's people all over the world that get this information. I better turn that down just a bit. But yeah, let's get as many people on board of thinking with true clarity and vision in terms of what it is to be a free human being, right? I mean, think about it now. How difficult would it be for, no matter how much propaganda the ruling class and their media mouthpieces, and even the full force and brunt and might that their order followers could bring upon us, you could never, it would be, I would suggest, impossible, right, to create a modern day slave society in terms of the way it used to be, where people actually thought it was legitimate to own as property human beings. You would never be able to bring that to light in a modern Western developed nation today, would you? No. Not with at least with the small, even with the people with the smallest grasp or understanding of what it is to be free, which is very lacking. But even with a tremendous amount of that information lacking in most people's mindsets, they still would never accept full-on human ownership, full-on human slavery today in 2022. So that's what we got to do to advance liberty going forward, right? To evolve past that is just get people in the mindset of, the government, masters and slaves, government and citizens. It's the same kind of relationship, right? So that's all we got to do. We just got to show people that, government and citizen, that's just new words to describe the master and the slave, right? I mean, right? They take from you. I mean, I don't have to go through all the examples of what government does, which is basically akin and along the same lines as what a master did to the slaves, right? Plunder the productivity of their wealth, right? All that stuff, control them, dictate, all that stuff. That's what a government does. So if we can get people on board and just acknowledging like that reality, think about how that can. And that's the thing. What do we do? How do we tell them how to? You don't have to tell people what to do once you tell them what it is to be free. Once they know what it is to be free, you don't have to tell them what to do. Just treat them like adults, like the free adults they want to be and they should be, and watch them go, right? Watch them go. Someone with their soul on fire with that flame of liberty, trust me, I know. Oh, it's amazing. It'll burn bright as all get out. And it's amazing what people will do once they do get to that point to not just retain them, but to fight for them, right? Anyways, let me move on to the next one. Thanks for all the great comments. Really appreciating that. My wish, a Frosty the Snowman that quits shitting all over my desk. Sorry about that, Mad Cat. Let's see. You could be in Ontario today. You could be in BC. I guess there's a few parts of the country that it's getting walloped right now. But yeah. Sorry about that, Mad Cat. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Eventually, though, the snow will go. Unlike Trudeau, he seems to be sticking around way, way longer than we would hope, right? But anyways, I digress. But yeah, I hear you, Mad Cat. Shitting all over my town. CBC is finally defunded. Oh, and there we go. There we go. Good one, Lamb Knot. Give this, I don't know if you're a man or a woman, Lamb Knot, but give this person a prize, right? No, but I'm totally with you. I was actually talking to my wife the other day, and the establishment media, now even like I'm on Twitter a lot now, obviously, right? Got a verified badge even now. But anyways, but yeah, you can see now it's just nonstop. It's amazing, right? The transformation. But you can see, and there's even, was it True North there that Harrison Faulkner, he's even created his own little show called Ratioed, which is great. Check it out, by the way. But yeah, the establishment media, I mean, come on, they must not even look at their posts after they put them, because it would play in their heads. Because surely at this point in time, they must realize, look, every comment, almost without exception, of people who responded to our news is against us. And look, for every one like we get, we're getting 2, 3 pushback replies that are against it. So they're getting ratioed constantly, nonstop. And then CBC, whether it was when I was a founding member of the PPC, right? Oh, don't even get me started on that thing. But anyways, and that, or whether it was when Pierre Poilievre had won the CBC leadership, and he was doing his like rallies and stuff right there for a little bit in the summer. Every time, whether it was Maxime Bernier standing on the stage or Pierre Poilievre up there doing his thing, I think even some of the other conservatives or someone, but basically anyone that doesn't represent, right, the elite lefties, the woke brigade, all you have to do is get in front of an audience of people and say, defund the CBC, and you get, that's all, usually the loudest and largest applause line of the night. It's really, so really, if you want to end on a high note, defund the CBC to the end, and then just walk off stage, and you're going to leave on a high note, right? Because yeah, defund the CBC. I mean, come on, we are forced to pay for not just our own enslavement. That's bad enough. But for the rhetoric and the bullshit lies and propaganda that doesn't just seek to enslave us, but to constantly manipulate us, gaslight us, and insult and deride us on a regular basis. Like, who the hell would want to pay for that? For all the liberals, the lefties, the woke brigade or whatever, if you folks enjoy it, just pay for it yourself. Pay for it yourself, because you're the only ones we're hearing today who wants to keep maintaining that propaganda, that basically arm of the liberal government, right? Well, then just take it over. Assume control. Assume some actual personal responsibility. But once again, I said not necessarily a four-letter word, but it's a bad word. It's one that a lot of these folks, the progressives, the woke brigade, they don't like that. Personal responsibility. That's a scary, scary proposition for those folks. But yeah, good one. That's a good one. That is a good one. Yeah, right on. I identify as a trucker. Yeah, me too, but I actually legitimately am a trucker. Oh, but yeah, truckers. Why? Just like that. What was that meme? I've shared it around a few times too. More or less. I wish like our schools were, or no, looks like our trucking schools are producing much better Canadians than the universities and colleges in this country. I think that's more or less along the lines of how it goes. Yeah. Once again, and I know it's still a little bit of in-group preference thing because I'm a trucker, and I don't want to get all tribal with the whole trucker thing, but in reality, it was quite a spectacle to see. And I always run this kind of stuff through my mind. And I think, why did you choose to become a truck driver, Bennett? And what are some of the great benefits of being a truck driver? Basically, being in a vehicle by yourself for the most part, no bosses, no authority figures around, basically ever, right? Other than when you get to maybe a customer or you cross the border. For the most part, you're your own boss. You're in charge of your day, how everything is done. So it's definitely the kind of occupation that's that's very beneficial for the independent minded type, right? The ones who don't have a tremendous amount of love or respect for authority. So it kind of does make sense when you start to think about these things, the cumulative effects of all the incentive structures that typically turns a person towards a field of occupation like trucking. So to see that the truckers were the ones that led that fight, I got to tell you, it really is an amazing thing, and I'm just so amazingly proud of all the people who did what they did, and the hell that they went through for doing what they did. Just amazing. But anyways, yeah, let me just move on by beyond that tier. My boot identifies as a politician. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Remember that? Put a foot in your ass. What was that? That Red guy. Remember from the '70s show? Red, the father. Put a foot in your ass. We need more real people. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Well, that's the other thing too with these social media platforms. And Twitter is one in particular that I can think of is, yeah, the as much as you can do, Elon, to get rid of those bots and stuff, and he's trying his best. But yeah, it's really weird because if like it really messes with a person's mind. And it'd be different if you let's say you're like a person like myself and you're fighting about freedom and liberty. If it turns out that the people who are railing against me and insult me and seemingly in much higher numbers being against freedom, well, if it turns out most of them were bot accounts, well, that changes my mindset in terms of what where we are and how far we've come in terms of bringing freedom and liberty to our countries. It's really hard to know these things, these metrics, when they can be manipulated so easily and so readily. So yes, let's do as best as we can to get as many real people interacting and engaging and get rid of these spam bot accounts and stuff. It's just so, and people that are willing to be honest, because that's another thing you might have meant by mad cat, right? No matter what, just be honest, right? Unabashedly honest. Another wish: transition from public police lockdown enforcers to private police who enforce court orders on a common law in a common law context. Police went from being the cleanup crew to federal strongmen. That is so true. Well, I mean, one thing I will say, and I was talking with Mitchell Foley, the from the Libertarian Party of Canada. If you want to check that out, I just did a live stream with him the other day. But yeah, like even we were saying, especially here in Atlantic Canada, and I'm pretty sure that's the case in Northern Ontario and a lot of the Western provinces, is the RCMP. It's a federal police force, right? And it's basically the federales are today overexpanded, too much overreach, and got their fingers in too many things, right? And because it's all centralized in Ottawa, really difficult to get any local accountability. To me, at the very least, we should have localized police forces. And yes, I agree, they should be private for sure, right? There should be a way to hold these people to account. Because that's the thing, people who want government, anything that's run by the government, there's no way to hold anyone to account. We can vote. That basically, you're relying on the fact that the majority of people who are always going to want to care about the things that you care about. So no, if most people want an authoritarian state, and that might very well happen, right? Well, you don't want it to be dictated or decided based on public or the vote. No, what you want is the ability to have police forces that can be held accountable and, once again, are as local as human possible. That is the benefit. And no matter who you are, whether you're the old grandma in the rural dwelling who needs the cops to be able to protect you, or someone, in the big urban centers, and you need people to investigate maybe the potential crime of someone stealing your bicycle or whatever the reason may be. You, at the very least, the most important thing that should matter to you, and I imagine it does to most people, is just, can they be competent? Can they be held to account? Can they not get away with murder? I mean, if murder is wrong for everyone else and assault's wrong for everyone else, well, the same should hold true and be applicable to police as well, right? But once again, there's no accountability. There's no way to hold them to account when they're so federalized and so centralized like they are in this country. So yeah, I'm definitely with you there, Gordon. And yes, of course, private is the only way to hold actors to account, because private means you can enter into the agreement and withdraw from the agreement, right? If you don't have the ability to withdraw your participation in the agreement, then there's no incentive for the other person to uphold their side, right? Simple as that. Simple as that. But yeah, good point, Gordon. Good point. I won't worry about the ham comment. You guys worry at yourself. Okay. All right. Just scrolling down here a little more. Okay, let's check this one out. Here's a wish. How about get rid of the LCBO? Have beer and liquor sold at convenience store. It's not like that's even unprecedented, right? If you go to Quebec, that's as normal as anything, right? Is getting your liquor at the convenience store. Well, maybe I'm not sure about hard liquor per se, but yes, having once again government dictate and control, and of course set the price, because that's the other thing. When you know one government entity has the ability to monopolize an industry, well, imagine the reality that of course things always get worse, right? The prices get worse, the prices get more, the service gets worse. That's just once again, that's just economics 101. So yeah, for sure, for sure. Not just privatize all things, but create an atmosphere of competition, because competition is key when you talk about that. Competition not only drives down prices, but increases the reliability, the quantity, and the quality of the product as well. Because competition, that's the only way that you're going to get that customer's dollar over the other your competition, is if you do provide a better service or product at a lower price point. That's how it works, folks. And that's the crazy part, is we all know that in our own lives. But people have been taught through the education, the indoctrination system, to forget about all that reality and do some mental gymnastics when it comes to government, right? Just like actually, there's someone that was on my Facebook page earlier. I had shown the COVID dashboard for New Brunswick, showing, because now they do it in four. So there's the unvaccinated, there's the fully vaccinated, which is just your two initial vaccines. Then there's the fully vaccinated with one booster. Then there's the fully vaccinated with two or more boosters. Because yeah, you can get even two or more boosters. And if you look at all the numbers, and they are on my Facebook page, actually I shared that to all my social media pages, I believe. But if you check it out, you'll see the chart. It's right there in your face, right? So let's say, what was it? For deaths, I think the death one is the one I remember right off the top of my head. So there was, what was it, 11 people that were unvaccinated that died for whatever that particular time frame was. It was 11 people that were unvaccinated, 9 people who were just the two vaccines, 33 with the two vaccines and one booster, and I think it was 35 with the two vaccines and at least two more boosters. So you take that 35, the 33, so what's that, 68, and the 9, so that's 77. 77 people in that time frame died of COVID, and they were all bare minimum had two vaccines, or 3 or 4 or more. Bare minimum at least had the two, right? 11 died who were unvaccinated. That's just the raw numbers. That's the raw numbers. Now, if you look on the same chart, the government of Brunswick, they've done 2 tweaks. So months ago, they did another tweak where they'll show that metric, and then they added the per 100,000, right? Which is a way to manipulate. We all know statistics. You can manipulate statistics. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics. So, if you adjust for per 100,000, even that, now it did skew things a little bit more evenly, it seemed, but even that wasn't enough. Even that showed, even with that metric, still showed that all the vaccinated people combined were still more than the unvaccinated. So what they do? Oh, they moved the goalpost even more. This time it's per 100,000, and then adjusted for a particular age range. So old people, right? So if you do all this cutting and pasting and manipulation of all these different metrics to get your number, and this person said, oh, well, he tried to explain it to me. It's not like I didn't already know it anyways, but and that's the number that matters most, right? How many people died as a percentage of 100,000 and in a particular age range? So basically what he's saying, which is what I basically said to him, is if you walked into a hospital and there's 100 people in there, right? And they're all, well, hospitalized or death. But if you see 100 body bags, and I'm sorry for playing light with using words like this and all this stuff, but I'm just trying to make a point here. But if you see 100 body bags at the hospital, there are 100 people died in that hospital, 10 of them were unvaccinated and 90 were fully vaccinated. Are you going to try to play the mental gymnastics of, yeah, but how old is that person? How many people that are unvaccinated does this person represent of that particular cohort? Like, what number as a representation of that particular cohort does this person represent? Or is it that person cohort in a particular age? Like, just so much ridiculousness. Or does the numbers speak volumes? To me, it's like if I'm seeing, okay, so there's 90 people over here that were fully vaxxed to the max, right? Or, well, 2 or more, right? And there's 10 over here that had no vaccines. Okay, explain to me how you're trying to convince me that I got to forget about the fact that there's 90 people who did everything the government told them to do, and yet they're dead anyways. The 10 people who didn't, now they're dead, and once again, bad for them all to be dead. But the people who did it, much higher numbers. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day if it's a representation per 100,000 or per 100,000 for the age range, because as we all know, of course, if you're a smoker with asthma, right, and you're 80 years old and blah, 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 all those things, and you're unvaccinated, right, unhealthy, if you had all those, of course, that's and of course, because there's fewer and fewer people who are unvaccinated, let's say only that 10% of the people who are unvaccinated. So yes, that's going to skew the number. If 1 out of 100 is unvaccinated, right? Or sorry, 10 out of 100, the percentage of 10 out of 100 is much different than the percentage of 90 out of 100, right? Just like if you took those 10 people and made them the representation of however many unvaccinated people are in this country, which, yes, there's a lot less people who are unvaccinated than vaccinated. But once again, that's playing some ridiculous, crazy manipulations of stats and data. That's completely messing and construing just the real world evidence and data that's right there in front of your face to convince yourself that the government narrative at least has to be that's someone like you're really reaching and grasping for straws there. And I kind of get it. I get how it's probably really difficult for people to actually have to admit, to own up to the fact that their thought leaders, their experts, and their ruling class actually, whether it was through sheer incompetence or malicious intent, they screwed up massively. They caused a lot of harm, a lot of pain, a lot of death. I mean, like I say, I don't even want to go too crazy with that because, let's try to keep this stream on a positive one. But yeah. Anyways, I don't even know how I got off on that tangent from liquor stores, but wow, you know me. Well, some of you do. If Musk rids bought from dinner, where will CBC get their top stories? Good one, GTO Mama. So true. I know. That's one thing is, like I say, no wonder they have to drink. And did you listen to that Rachel Gilmore when she was sitting there on stage with that thing? She's that Global News. She actually sat up there and admitted about her almost seemingly love affair with Zoloft, which is, one of those antidepressant drugs. And I've mentioned this before, and it gets people a little uncomfortable. I'm sorry about that, folks, but it's just the truth. There's a lot of these people. The only way they get through their lives is by dulling themselves down tremendously with these, antidepressives or a couple bottles of wine a day. I got to tell you, I've gone the opposite way. And it's amazing. Well, I love a good challenge anyways, but I'm not sure if you folks are familiar. I don't mention it too much, but I am now alcohol-free since January of 2020. So I'm going on 3 years. Man, it's unbelievable how long time flies. And I get it. I even catch myself sometime I seem like sometimes when I had a few in me, I could be quite funny, quite a bit funnier than I am now, I admit it. And of course, there's that old adage of you're 10 feet tall and bulletproof. You definitely have more courage. I was definitely more open, right? Right, about things. But yeah, I looked at it as a challenge, and because I lost my license as a consequence of having a few beer in my four wheeler that many years ago, and how detrimental that was, and losing my job, my livelihood, and career. After that, I said, you know what? Well, that's what it is with me in particular. I love a good challenge, and rather than just cut down, I said, you know what? I'll just cut it out of my life entirely. I don't really need it. Let's see if I can do it. And sure enough, just like when I was 36, I quit smoking. And yeah, I pulled it off, and I've never touched it since. And I believe that's going to probably be the same for the drinking thing too. I love a good challenge, and that's the one thing that our counterparts on the other side, they're not like that at all. It doesn't seem to be. They want everything to go as simple and as easy as possible, which makes them very wimpy, very weak, and which obviously makes the case for why they always have to see government as their means to an end, right? Personal responsibility, have to do things themselves, right? No, it's much easier just to force other people, right? Or to steal from people, right? That's the problem. But as much as it does seem like they're benefiting at our expense from time to time. But we all know in our own personal lives, surely we all know this, that we're living much better. I guarantee you, if these people had a birdie on the wall in our places, they would be wishing desperately that they had um, situations where they were living in such well-adjusted and loving and caring environments, right? Because that's the other thing. And sometimes I actually feel bad for them, right? As much as I get pissed off about the way they go on with their race-based race baiting, or the misogynist crap, their identity politics. But sometimes I think, oh, you folks, to be that miserable, to be that divisive, to be that hateful and spiteful, yeah, you can't be living very good in your not just in your life, but in your head, right? And what a terrible place to. I wouldn't want to live in their heads. It used to be difficult enough living my own, but I've cleared out a lot of the baggage, and doing much better these days. So thanks, and appreciate that. But yeah, good one, GTO. Okay, where we go here? I'm just checking to see if anyone else has any more wishes. You got a wish, Wendy? How you doing, Wendy H? Hi, Bennett and everyone. GTSY. Oh shoot, I'm out of touch. I don't even know what GTS was. I don't know. Damn. Anyways, hello. Okay, let's see what Matt kept. Wow, man, I know of a few who got all that jab crap, and one I know is still kicking, but one that I saw a bruise on his arm that looked like a giant tattoo is nasty. I hope he's doing well. Yeah, appreciate that, Matt. Actually, let me just say this right now, too, because I do want to say this. Because I see, just like that movie Died Suddenly, and I started watching it, and I got to tell you, I had the same response as some other people that I follow and interact with, and I'm just not a fan of going to that kind of extreme, kind of sensationalist stuff either. As much as the woke brigade and the lefties and the tyrants are constantly fucking with us and manipulating things, and the propaganda, the gaslighting, but come on, it drives me just as much crazy to see the people, their counterparts on the far right, or whatever they want to call them these days, right? That are still are playing their own game of sensationalism, of propaganda, of fear-induced narrative. Can we all just stop with that nonsense? Because, like I say, eventually, we're going to have to sit down and have a conversation. And like, not that I'm saying that we have to eliminate their voices entirely, but come on, like, it's just insane. It's just insane when people go to such extreme, because you're driving people nuts. People, especially like me, I'm quite far along in my journey of learning about objective truth and reality and logic and all that. But think about if you're just starting down that venture right now, man, the amount of mass confusion, the the amount of rhetoric coming from both sides, both extremes of the divide. It's just it is. It's ah, just drives me nuts. Just really grinds my gears. All right, but yeah, scrolling down here. But yeah, once again, that doesn't mean that everyone that's going to get vaccinated. I don't believe that if you get vaccinated, you're going to die either. Like that's just a crock of shit. Some people maybe, right? And there's definitely adverse reactions, severe reactions. Those things are all true and all real, which is, and even if it's just one, right? Remember the narrative early on. Remember the narrative early on, the media. Even if we can just save one life, right? Put on your mask, go into lockdown, shut down your business, right? Take this back. But now, right? Now, if you can save just one life, once again, we don't have to pretend that everybody's dropping dead. You don't have to go that far. You don't have to go that extreme. If there's a chance that even one person will die if you force them to get a vaccine, well, that alone, that's an easy thing. Just don't force that person to inject themselves with a substance, and then you don't have to worry about killing anybody, right? Choice. And their personal responsibility means that they're accountable for their choice too, not you. That's the beautiful thing about personal choice and personal accountability is it relieves us of all that responsibility. It places it in the hands where it rightfully belongs, right? That's the thing. And sure, there are people that are having severe reaction and myocarditis is real and all that. All that stuff is real. But once again, we don't have to play it up as if everybody's going to die from the COVID shot. Like that, if you're trying to earn credibility and a reputation of someone being honest, do not fall for these lies or rhetoric. They're just as bad as their counterparts on the left, like I say. So just stay away from those, the ones that who truly do. I mean, I don't care about their views, right? By all means, I'm not saying people shouldn't be able to have their views. Listen, people still believe in flat earth. Do your thing, right? Or that aliens are, lurking in every corner. Whatever, do your thing. But once again, you don't have to go to such extremes to get a point across, right? Freedom, voluntary choice, being against coercion, you don't have to go to the extremes or such alarmism of pretending that everybody's going to drop dead from the vaccine, right? To be consistent in your values or your message. Anyways, let me just move on. Let me just move on. Yeah. Move along. Okay, who we got here? That's always a good thing to abstain from the drinking. Coffee is better anyways. Oh, I definitely love my coffee. That's the thing. And that's the thing. I always find I'm like anyone else. I like vices once in a while, right? We all have our things and we always use something we use, but typically historically it was always adrenaline rush type activities, race and stuff. That's usually where I focus most of my efforts. But yeah, in terms of the drinking, yeah, I do. I will say that since I've quit drinking, I do find myself drinking more coffee. That is true. And pop. I gotta Okay. Sorry about that, folks. And I got so caught up in everything. I forgot. I have someone that I'm going to be bringing on here actually. So got to send that link. Sorry about that, Darcy. Here, just one sec here, folks. There we go. Yeah. I had totally got so caught up in this whole, well, as you folks know, I really enjoy getting active, engaged with you folks here. I really do. But yeah, I had totally forgot that actually I'm bringing Darcy Grow. Hopefully he's still, I just sent him the link now. Hopefully he's still interested in coming on. But anyways, I was going to bring Darcy Grow onto the show, and Darcy has his own podcast. And I just noticed he had a podcast with Tim Owen the other day. Anyways, I'll give him some time to introduce himself if you folks not sure or familiar who he is, but he's another fellow Canadian who cares about freedom like you or I, and I had invited him on to the stream, and he was kind enough to accept my invitation, and he's probably going to join us shortly. There we go, internet. So yeah, I don't know what happened there. Anyways, in terms of my internet connection, it did get lost for some reason. Frosty. Okay, I think we're back though, right? From what I can tell, we're back. Okay, so let me get back down here. Oh, Les Shira. Hey, how you doing? Thank you. Very appreciate the donation and the happy holidays wishes. Appreciate that, and happy holidays to you, or Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whichever you celebrate. Yeah, for sure. Happy holidays to you as well. Appreciate that. I'm really thankful for your generous donation. Went to more funerals this year than ever. A record I would prefer not to experience. Yeah, that is wild. Yeah, I know that's something for sure. A lot of people have basically said the same thing. Anyways, I see I got Darcy. He's just getting ready to join the stream now, so I'll just bring him on there, folks. So just give me one sec. Hello, Darcy.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Doing the very best. How about yourself?
Yeah, good. Well, Merry Christmas. I know we've talked about getting together to do something for a number of years, so I'm glad we were finally able to make it work.
Yeah, well, actually, that was the thing. I wasn't really planning on, tell you the truth, I was mostly thinking about getting really active into things after the holidays, but I just bumped up my StreamYards there to a higher plan, and I wanted to test everything out. Plus, I always typically like to talk to folks before Christmas anyways. And I figured I'd give that a try. And because we've been trying to, like you say, talk to each other in some form or fashion on some kind of a stream or a podcast, I figured we'll give this a chance as a dip our toes in the water. And I will actually mention it right now that if you want, after the holidays, I'd be more than happy to come on your podcast. I actually just started listening to your podcast. I listened to your one with Walter Block the other day. And then this morning, I was actually listening to one where you were interviewing Tim Owen, and I got about 15 minutes into that. So yeah, really good to see that you're definitely another fellow Canadian who cares about freedom and liberty as well. And it's nice to see that there's people all over this country that actually is, not just, liking things here and there, but actually actively putting, some skin in the game and doing a lot of work out there and trying to get people educated, informed. As you know, I've been trying to do that for many years. And the more people in this country we can do it, the better we are, I think, as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, I just wanted to give you the time there, Darcy, for the folks in the chat that maybe don't know who you are, but I'm sure some of them, I'm sure there's probably some of the people who watch your content who probably share my content as well. But if you want to just introduce yourself to some of the people who maybe aren't familiar with who you are, go right ahead there, man.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Well, my name's Darcy Giroux. I am... Let's see. I mean, obviously a huge advocate for liberty. I was, you mentioned I had Tim Owen on my podcast. I was Tim Owen's deputy leader of the Libertarian Party when he was the leader. I'm still currently the deputy leader of the Libertarian Party under Jacques Boudreau, who's again been doing a great job. I did leave the Libertarian Party for a while. I worked for Maxime Bernier as his Alberta organizer. Left that before he even saw the first election he was involved with. And yeah, I mean, just the idea of autonomy, self-determination, libertarianism, all that is just something that, I think is worth fighting for. And I agree with you. We need more Canadian content on the subject because unfortunately it's not something that is, inherent in our culture the way it is to our neighbors to the south, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's not that uh the definitely the classical liberalism and enlightenment thinkers and all that have influenced our the way our government works and our culture and everything, but it's not the same type of libertarianism that uh, maybe you and I would like to see, right? Or is and just for the record, I mean, I consider myself an anarchist.
Mm.
I I don't I don't believe that the government is necessary at all. I believe that in a civil society, we all um, can find a way to make our lives work and take care of each other without the use of force and coercion. So, yeah.
For sure. Well, I would imagine most people, including the people in the chat, that's how they go about their daily lives, all right? Most people I've ever met, not that I've been adverse to conflict, but most of the times, I would say the overwhelming majority of the times I've ever been around anyone, it's every interaction I've watched them interact and engage was done through voluntary means. So I agree with you there. And I will just say this one thing I've been happy to see in terms of the Libertarian Party. Now, Tim, he had a lot on the table. He had a lot to do. He was quite a busy man. So I understand that. But I will say, at least now, seeing and predominantly on Twitter, that there is at least more active, activity out of the Libertarian Party of Canada, even just their Twitter page, right? That matters. And I see quite a few posts on there. And I would agree in terms of the anarchist stuff. Well, this is the most people and you've probably heard this expression, and a lot of people in the chat have. You're 6 months basically from the time you learn about libertarianism. Right now, of course, that
Yeah.
depends. Depends, of course, on how quick you are in terms of learning these things. But basically, all you're really doing is extrapolating principles, right? It's just like if you were a kid. When you're in grade 1 or 2, you might only learn, your single digits or multiplication or something, right? But once you've learned math, to like addition and multiplication, well, learning it when you get up into 6 digits, 10 digits, 100 digits, you're just extrapolating the base premise of the mathematic formula and what you get out of it, right? No
Hmm.
trickery involved. Well, that's the
Yeah.
same with the libertarian philosophy, which is the non-aggression principle, like not use preemptive force, violence, theft, or coercion towards other people, right? And self-ownership. I own myself. Nobody gets to claim ownership over me or anything that I produce or provide as a consequence of my self-ownership. So that's all it is at the end of the day. And really the people, when it's so funny, because I don't know about yourself, and I've said this many times, I come from a religious family. And what's crazy about when I talk to people today, because I was always an inquisitive young man and I used to bother preachers a lot because I was always questioning things in the church or Sunday school, predominantly Sunday school, because when I was younger, that's where you couldn't speak up in church. But if you're in Sunday school, you could kind of get a little more leeway. And I would question things constantly. And I was just always told, it's just the way it is, more or less. Sit down, just trust me. I'm the authority. This is the way it is. And then of course, getting away from that, trying to break free from that paradigm as an adult, it's like, oh, wait a minute, it's the exact same thing, except they call themselves status, right? Same shit, different pile. It's their just, don't question things, just it is what it is. But unfortunately for them, fortunately for me, I am the kind of person that questions things. And all I really ask at the end of the day, which is weird because people have been so inundated with that message of statism, is they get pissed off at people like us that say, I just want you to expand your mind enough so that you know what it is to be free. That's it. That's it.
Hmm.
What you do with that after the fact, whatever.
Yeah.
But all I really want you at the end of the day is to realize that you should be free and the earth isn't 6,000 years old.
Well, I think it's important to take that one step further, and I would like this is your wish list episode. So, I
Right,
mean, my
right.
wish list would be that you know even the status types, liberals or conservatives or whatever political stripe they like to consider themselves, that they take a
Hmm.
good look at what the state actually is, like what it is, how it operates, how it impacts people's lives. Um, and that they have an understanding of it, in the way that you and I have an understanding of what the state is, and then that they take into consideration every time they are have an opinion on something that, whatever it is, and especially politicians when it comes to making policy. If like they should all still understand, even if they don't agree with our philosophy, they should still understand that the state is just a monopolist on the use of force, right? I
Mhm.
mean, and that's what it is. So that would be my wish list. I think that people in general and our policymakers would understand what the state is, how it uses force, and how it uh, manipulates people, and how it divides people, and all that. And then potentially you might see some good policy come out of it if people
Mhm.
had an understanding like that. I mean, I'm not hopeful that that would be the case, but
Yeah.
if people shared that, that kind of fundamental underpinning, I think we would see some sort of progress.
Well, I'm 100% in agreement with you there. And actually, I actually have it as a pinned tweet now. I'm seeing some people, engaging with it, but not the right people. But here's my concern. I'll ask you if you share this concern. The people now who are taking front stage, right, center stage, right. So especially in particular as it affected the trucker convoy in Ottawa, there was so much attention. But so you got your Jordan Petersons, and you got he's British now, but Douglas Murray, who was over here, and then of course Matt Taibbi, he's an American. But you got Julie Paness, who runs the Democracy Fund. You had Conrad Black. They just literally had I think it was this week or last week, the whole thing, and they titled this event in Canada, and it was called "The History of Civil Liberties in Canada." And to me, I'm still scratching my head to this day. And I mean, like I say, we're all on social media. One person was saying, "Well, how do you know they even know who libertarians are in Canada?" Well, first of all, I mean, for me, just as one example, if you go to like Google or YouTube and you type in Canadian Libertarian, there's no problem finding even just me, but you'll find the Libertarian Party of Canada. And just by going to the Libertarian Party of Canada, you'll get access to all the names of the people that are part and parcel of that party, right? But they'll have an event called The History of Civil Liberties in Canada, and do not invite anyone who's a representative of the philosophy of liberty and libertarianism. That's like having a conference for mechanics and not inviting any mechanics. That just seems like a really, really, you know what I mean? Seems like a really weird thing to do. And what my concern is, and I don't mean to insult these people, I firmly believe, just like some of these far lefties, I firmly believe they have good intentions. But what I feel that's taken place today is there's some people who want to take over as the new establishment, be the new thought leaders, right? To get rid of, and I'm saying I'm all for getting rid of the old ones. No problem there. The problem is they're not getting the message that someone like you or I or Tim or anyone, they're not getting the full truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They're being told, right, is that brand of statism, oh, that's bad. Our brand is much better. But once again, as you know, since statism is the belief in government, the belief of using force as your means to an end, I mean, even if you claim benevolence, you're still advocating for using force as a means to an end. So all I'm saying is it would be really nice, and I can't help but think the reason why they won't, I'm just hypothesizing here, but I'm just visualizing all these people arguing about their particular brand or style of statism with someone like a Tim Mullen or myself coming up on the stage and say, yeah, but basically what I've said, yeah, but you guys are just advocating for different brands. Like, you want Catholicism, you want Protestant, right? I'm
Right. Yeah.
saying, can we get rid of religion out of, right? But this is
Yeah.
the problem, which is I can't help but think that's the reason why we're left still sitting at the little boys' table and not allowed brought to the big table, is because they're scared to death of. But they keep saying that. I hear Jordan Peterson nonstop say, just be honest. Even if you shake or tremble when you're just be honest. Tell your truth, right? It's like, well, you obviously don't want to hear that bad.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too. I mean, so being involved in as a libertarian in a political party at all, because for the most part I consider myself apolitical or even anti-political, and I think a lot of the people in the Libertarian Party consider themselves that way also.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing, like, it's a great group to be a part of. Like,
Mm,
but at the end of the day, you do get sucked into these, political conversations. You end up playing the political game, and
mm.
which, I would rather that, if the Canadian government, if the state wasn't so, you know, big, wasn't so powerful, didn't have so much influence in our lives, I
Mm.
would, like, anyone who knows me knows that I would rather just talk about Hemingway novels and horse racing than politics. But
Yeah.
you get sucked into this thing one way or another, right? And it is tough, like watching, conservatives have taken up this banner of liberty, like pro liberty type stuff. And Polyev's got some real populist support behind him, and he's said some good things. He's brought some attention to the Bank of
Yeah.
Canada and things like that, which I appreciate.
Mhm.
But everyone who votes for him is going to be disappointed if he wins an election. And I mean, as much as I agree with some of his talking points, I have a, pe- most people's political memory is very short, right? Like they don't,
Mm.
they like when Stephen Harper was first elected, people referred to him as a libertarian, right? And like there was no way, right? And after 10 years of that conservative government, all that happened was there was more debt, there was more spending, there was more social programs put in place, like nothing conservative or libertarian happened. And I really think that we can get rid of Justin Trudeau and put in Pierre Poilievre, but the system itself keeps growing, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's too bad that we get sucked into that sort of thing, right?
Yeah. And I think the big thing, and tell me if this resonates with you, because I've run this through my head so many times. And what I think the big thing with me, I base it based on my own background, so it could be just anecdotal. But I've always been into building engines and stuff, and I'm all about. And I'm not independent, wealthy. I've never been. So being very efficient with my knowledge, my time, and my resources is massively important to me. And that's the same thing in terms of the philosophy of liberty. Is and I trust me, I got respect and appreciation for the minarchists who are doing their efforts every day and doing their thing. Like at the very least, like I said so many times, at least we're fellow travelers. I'm going to go a little further than you folks, but at least we're traveling in at least the same direction, right? But my thing is just like you is when you recognize that things are crumbling pretty bad. You've got very few structures holding things up anymore. Well, I'm like, well, we might want to. I'm all about efficiency. So rather than playing the minarchist game and trying to convince people that Santa's kind of real, right? I just want to rip the band-aid off. That's really what it is at the end of the day, is I just want to rip the band-aid off and then, like I say, bring that kind of air to it, the sunlight to it, and then we can work through all the problems or issues that you may have. And that's just like these events that's taking place. I'm sure it's very actively engaging, and these guys have great oratorial skills. I admit, Jordan Peterson, I mean, the man, I thought I could ramble, right? But he's really good. And your Douglas Murray, especially with that great accent of his. But once again, you're helping the people down the journey, but you're not giving them an actually escape ramp as of yet. And all I'm saying is here's your escape ramp, right? To get away from this statism. And then have your big brains like your Jordan Petersons or everyone actively participate and bring your ideas to the forefront of the table. But let's not leave out the big 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is that, like you said, the state is a representation of monopoly violence. Every time someone says, our government should have a rule for this, it's basically like saying, I want to use force to impose this thing on everyone else in my country or your whatever vicinity you live in. And that's a
Yeah.
big thing. How do you feel about that kind of sentiment anyways?
Well, let's see. I mean, I'm just realizing I'm gonna, but um, so
So
I
basically,
had a thought.
yeah,
I
well,
had a thought, and it's gone.
sorry. So basically, the question I was going to ask is the fact of, like I say, do you believe the thing is that for people like us, the reason why it's much wiser, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm asking your opinion, to go at things from the whole truth is because that
Right.
at least that's the very that's the to me that's the proper starting point for a
Okay,
conversation,
yeah, sure. No,
right?
sure. So, so I guess again, this is what's on your wish list. I mean, I do think a person should be careful of what they wish for sometimes, because if we're talking about wishing for the collapse of society as we know it, we're witnessing that in real time already, right? So,
Exactly.
uh,
Yeah.
now I don't know what the best, like ripping the band-aid off. If tomorrow, the reality is, if we woke up tomorrow and the federal government of Canada didn't exist, our lives would not change that much. Like
Oh yeah,
it's
oh yeah. But let me clarify before you continue on. Actually, let me clarify. I didn't mean rip it off in terms of like let's get rid of government. I'm just saying let's be honest with people of what the state actually represents.
oh sure, yeah, yeah.
Because then if they have the basis of knowledge, this is the problem because you're basically trying to tell people that you know this kind of state isn't bad, but they're still going to end up with statism. My premise once again is it started with government is this terrible thing. It was something that replaced the old world structures of things. It has been somewhat of a net benefit for a couple hundred years, but as we're seeing, it's turning into basically what the old world way of enslaving people were.
Hmm.
So what we're saying is start from the basis of understanding that these things it's a mystical concept, government. It's a fabrication of the mind. These people don't have legitimate authority. Like all I'm suggesting is not rip the band off, is get rid of government. Once again, I don't know what people are going to do with the information. All
Well,
I'm saying is
well, that
give
that
the
that is what
information.
I'm saying, for the record.
Right, okay.
Well, there's another great, and I forget who said this. I remember hearing it years ago. There's a great, uh, you know, line from somebody, and it was that, in like a medieval serf in Eastern Europe paid
Mm,
25% of their income to the landlord, right? And
right.
that was serfdom. I mean, that's what we, compare to what was slavery in other places.
Mm.
Now we could only hope to be so to be as well off as a medieval serf these
Right.
days, right? Because
Yeah.
I forget what, the numbers out of the Fraser Institute are, like 42% of the
Yeah.
average Canadian's income goes
Yeah.
towards paying taxes, right?
No,
So
that actually no, it was 46, and I think at peak it was at
46.
48. It was 46 or 48, but the 42 was the representation of how much we pay for the food in our belly, the roof over our head,
Uh,
and our clothing. So we pay more. The government takes more from us. It was 46 or 48%. So 4 or 6% more just in taxation, which is theft, right? Then we have in terms of what we need just to sustain ourselves. And like I've said to people before in the past, no matter what your thoughts are in prior human ownership, actual, human ownership in terms of actual slavery, is the slaves back then on the plantation still had to have a roof over their head, still had to have had food in their belly, and still had to have um, clothes on their back, right? So when you're getting to the point where the government's taking more from you than what you even need just to sustain yourself as a human being, yeah, exactly. At what point in time are you not back into basically, and of course, not full on chattel slavery, but damn near close to it?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you can't help but wonder at what percentage does this thing turn over on itself? Like
Mm,
at what point does it actually cave in on itself, because
mm,
because there is no, you can't have a small minority of the population supporting this, the rest of them, like this.
mm,
And that I'm not talking about people on welfare either. I'm talking about this huge bureaucratic nightmare mess where, I mean, most industries that are not, directly funded by government or hugely subsidized by government, and
mhm,
are unproductive industries, right? And that includes our healthcare system, that includes education. It's not, it's a bad situation we're in Canada. And I hope, I don't want to say that the Libertarian Party is the answer to that, because I don't have a lot of faith in the political process, even though I'm a member and an advocate of the Libertarian Party. But
mhm.
I hope somehow we're able to, make a difference and get out of this mess before it gets any worse. Having said that, it's 2:30. I have to jump off. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on.
No problem, Darcy. And sorry I took a little longer to get to you. I was just so actively engaged with the chat there earlier on, and had some great folks on there. So I kind of got a little absorbed in there. But I really appreciate you coming on. And once again, if after the new year you want to have me on your podcast, just send me a message anytime. I have lots of time available now. In the wintertime, things slow down because of my work. It's in construction. It's the wintertime, things are basically dead. So yeah, I'm available. So yeah, just reach out to me anytime. And I wish you and your family and everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yeah, absolutely. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Take care. Thanks.
Right on. No problem, man. Take it easy, my friend. Well, that was a good, quick little chat with Darcy, and I'm looking forward to hopefully going on his podcast there one day. And like I say, it is really, really good, folks. As you folks probably know, is we are very, very much like a close knit family, even if, as it is in most instances for a lot of you folks, we've never even seen each other. Well, I suppose you see me because I'm on the screen, right? But at the end of the day, people who are, fellow travelers in terms of, respecting each other's autonomy and individuality, and not looking to infringe or encroach on each other's liberties and our rights, our inherent and inalienable rights. I mean, that alone, it's just such a beautiful thing to surround yourself with people that, I don't even care if we disagree. To be honest with you, I am very few times do I ever get like irate or upset with a disagreement with someone who's identifies as a libertarian or an anarchist or a classical liberal, because chances are, at the very least, at the core of their philosophy in their mind is they have a live, let live mentality. And if you have that live, let live mentality, then like, once again, it's just a much more conducive environment for us to be able to, interact and associate and deal with each other, right? Of course, status, that's got to be a rough one when everyone that you surround yourself just constantly seeking to use violence or theft or coercion as a means to end. It's got to be an uncomfortable place to be, right? So we're in a much better place, and I'm very happy that you folks have joined the chat today, and I'm very happy to be surrounded with so many not just like-minded, because that's the thing, we're like-minded in at least some ways, but very diverse in so many others. That's the kind of diversity that I actually genuinely appreciate, because once again, I don't want everyone to be cookie cutters. I don't want us to be NPCs. We aren't the board. We are unique individuals. And I'm very much appreciative and respectful of each and every one of you and what you bring to the table. And thank you once again for joining the live stream. I'm just going to check down here. I see there's lots of great comments still. Actually, let me go down here, because wow, really busy in the chat here. I'm just going to maybe check on a few things there before I tie things up. What are we at there? We're an hour and a half in, so yeah, I'll just give a little bit more look-see through the chat here. Just one sec here. I'm sure there might be a few more people got a wish or two. It's worth though. Hey, it's Aniko. I see you must be in the chat. Wendy's saying when we go to Crest. Okay, they're talking amongst each other. Let me see here. There we go. Steve Ryan. Hey, Steve, nice to see you in the chat, my friend. I wish everyone would read The Road to Serfdom by Austrian-British economist and philosopher Friedrich Hayek. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well said, Stephen. And I agree, at the very least, right? At the very least. Yes. And this is a beautiful thing today, too, in the age that we live in. If you have an Amazon account, you can get access to all these great books in just the soft cover, right, form. For a lot of them can be had for, less than 10, 20, maybe $30, like typically. I've bought, as you can see, folks, I've been, stacking up on a lot of great books, a lot of these great books that really do help develop your mind in so many areas as it pertains to freedom and liberty. And maybe you got someone in your life that'd be a good Christmas gift idea, right? And if you want someone in your life to learn about liberty, what better gift to give them than a gift that actually will help do that, and that they can do it. That's the thing about a book or something. They can do that in their own leisure, in their own time, without feeling scrutinized. That's the other thing too, right? There's a myriad of ways for people to travel down that road, to venture down that and journey down that path to learning about freedom. And, it isn't one size fits all. So yeah, some great books, and Road to Serfdom, definitely one of the best. Definitely one of the best. Okay, what else we got here? See. No problem, Steve. Better late than ever, my friend. Better late than ever. Saniko, okay. I don't get there. Okay, sorry. The Saniko is replying back. I'm just seeing if there's any more wishes. I want to make sure. Oh, Bad Cat says thank you, Darcy. Wendy as well. Yeah, that was a great chat. Okay. Just trying to see if I can find any more questions. Or sorry, any more wishes. Okay, folks, I think I'm actually going to tie this stream up here shortly. So what I'll just do here, just to tie things up, is I'll just say that, of course, my wish is pretty much along the same lines as most people here today. My biggest wish is that we can usher in a modern era of enlightenment, a modern era, and who knows how it could how long it could last and flourish. But at the very least, how great it would be. My wish is to be able to at least play some role, some small part in ushering in a new era of understanding for the human being as to what it means to be a free human being. I want all human beings to be free from forced subjugation, servitude, or slavery. People should not, we live in amazing times. We have so much at our disposal, so many resources, amenities, and comforts, and the ability to have our close friends, family, and loved ones around us. There's just so many things to be thankful for today. And the one thing that is absent that I wish for the most is for each and every one of us to be able to have the ability to be as free as humanly can be, while simultaneously taking that freedom, that liberty, and wrapping it up with personal responsibility. Because that's the thing, folks. You can't have one without the other. So let's see what we can do for this, not just for 2023, but for as long as we have on this planet. Let's see what we can do. See what kind of fruits may bear from all the efforts that we put on now and that we have been putting in the past. Like I say, folks, the people in the past did so much, and many of them, especially in particular in the world wars, unfortunately had to lose their lives. We are fortunate in the era that we have the capacity and the ability to just use our words to have the biggest battle. The war that's taken place, and there is a war. The war is on for your minds. And once again, there are many, many, many battles. Some we may win, some we may lose. But if at the end of the day, future historians can write, there was a lot of battles, some lost and some won. But if at the end of the day, the war, the information war, the war of ideas was won by those who staunchly stood in full defense of liberty and in defiance against the tyrants. That's my wish, folks. And not just my wish for this year, but my wish going forward. So thanks to all you fine folks who joined the chat. Thanks for the donations. Have yourself a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I wish you all the best to you and your family. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.